Welcome to the Get Real Podcast, your high-octane boost of full-on reality therapy for personal, business, and investing success with your host, Ron Phillips, because somebody's got to tell it like it is.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Get Real Podcast. Ron Phillips here with Heather Marchant.
Hello.
Got another really great show for you today, and something unique because I don't think we've ever done this, have we, Heather?
Yeah, except for the one that I kind of took over the podcast and
that's
interviewed
right, because
the
I wasn't
Ostroms.
on there, and therefore I don't remember it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so today we're going to have, we've had several people ask what it's like to own property and what it's like to be a client of ours and things like that. We don't really talk a ton about ourselves and what we do, but we've had a lot of people ask. And so we thought it would be fun to have somebody on who we love. And, because if you're going to come on the show, then we have to actually like talking to you. And so, we decided to bring on a friend of ours that we met just doing business. And Heather, I'm going to let you introduce John to the show and take it away.
Yeah, sure. So we met John in about 2015 is what we think it was. We used to go and present at another group, and John had kind of come to see if he wanted to join that group. And he ended up connecting with us and getting his first rental property, which I think we started with single family, right, John?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a really great experience to watch John's portfolio grow. And I still remember one of my first conversations with you, John, is you said to me, this is amazing. I just got a check in the mail. Like, I didn't do anything. I still remember and it was in person when you told me, and you said, I was just so excited, and I've just got to do this again. This is fantastic. So, so great.
Yeah. The passive income thing was so new to me, and it was just such a mindset shift because, I've been pounded into me from day one that, you go to school, you get a job, you go to work, you work 60 hours a week, you invest in the stock market, and, hopefully that works out.
Hey, let's just be clear about, let's be clear about one thing. Yeah. There are certain of us that are really grateful that you did all that, because in light of full disclosure, after we met John, he became both of our dentists.
Yeah,
and he
still is mine.
And he's really good. And I moved out of Utah, and therefore he's no longer my dentist. And my whole family, every time we have to go to the dentist, we're like, why can't John move here? And I said, well, one of these days he might, because he's certain to get sick of the snow and the cold weather out in Utah. And at some point he may end up here. But at that point, maybe you won't be dentisting anymore, John. I don't know. But
I think I'll always have my hand in it. I would
private client.
Yeah. Love to do it more on my terms, maybe as a hobby. But I'll keep doing it forever, I think. But awesome. the real estate thing has been so cool. And I tell everybody I meet about it, and they kind of look at me sometimes like I got a horn on my head, and I don't understand why.
Well, I think you're so excited about it, John, that in Utah, they probably think it's some kind of multi-level
MLM.
Marketing.
Yeah, they do. I'm trying to sell them something, and but no, it's not. I don't. I just tell them because it really works, and there isn't any. I don't think there's a better investment out there.
Well, when you first came to us and we started with a single family, what goals did you have back then? Like, why were you doing it?
I knew that the track I was on wasn't going to work. I mean, I was going to kill myself, work myself to death. And the stock market, I don't believe in it. I have no control over it. And there had to be another way, and working for another 30 years. That was so depressing. And real estate I had always been interested in it. My mom was a real estate agent when I was a kid, and she was always gone showing homes. And my dad was always talking about it. And I just started, thinking about it probably 2013, 14, that maybe there was something there that I should look at. And so I just started kind of doing my own digging. And that's where I jumped in and came across you guys. And I'm not looking back. It's the more, the better. And something else that I didn't expect from all of this is that it's kind of fun,
Yeah. Addicting even.
It is. Yeah. You're looking for the next deal, and it's cool.
Yeah, that's true. And I think when we started, we were mostly, I know we focused a lot on using your retirement account, which we haven't
Yeah.
talked a ton on here, Ron, about that. So I thought maybe that would be good to kind of
Yeah, I mean, I think
go
we've only
over.
done one show, and I'm not even
Yeah.
sure that the show was really even about that. I mean, we had the other John,
Yeah,
favorite person in my life, on, but I think we talked about market and things like that. I don't really think we talked too much about the IRAs.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So we work to make those funds work a little better for you, right? And invest. I think we did some multifamily in your IRA, from what I recall.
Yeah,
um,
which I love and would love to do more of. But yes, I rolled everything into a self-directed custodian, self-directed IRA. And then we started purchasing properties in there with the non-recourse loans. Yeah, and it's been great.
yeah.
I don't have to do anything. They do it for me. Um,
Yeah. So you've also done quite a bit. I'm kind of just trying to lay a framework, I guess, for people to see what you've
yeah,
done. I feel like we
yeah.
started somewhat slow. We didn't go crazy.
No,
How did you get comfortable with moving into owning so much real estate? I mean, you didn't go
do it.
crazy. You went slow at first, but
Yeah, it was really, I was terrified the first one. And,
Man, we would have never known.
yeah, no.
oh,
You were so easy to work with. I would have never known you were terrified.
no, I was terrified. It was new. I'd never done it. And I just, it was kind of a leap of faith. And then once you get in and you see, well, that wasn't so bad. That didn't hurt. And I actually get money in the mailbox every month. That's pretty cool. And
Yeah,
so how do we do the next one? And
yeah.
then once you get a few, then it's, how do I do a whole bunch more?
Hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I am.
So, have there been any setbacks or any issues that you've had? Because I know we like to keep it real on here, right? So,
Right.
sometimes real estate doesn't go perfect. And I can't,
Well, I
you
can't
haven't
say
involved
that.
me in any. So,
No, I can't say that and this is what I love about you guys is your integrity, and that's why I'm like your favorite missionary, um, because there have been some deals, Heather, that I was in that you pulled me out of because the numbers just weren't panning out.
that's true.
But I wouldn't say there have been any setbacks. Everything's been super easy with you guys, and that's why I love you. On my side personally, I think my lack of knowledge is maybe something that holds me back, and I'm working on that. I'm just kind of doing my own self-study program, learning as much as I can about it, but I
Yeah.
don't know, and so I'm jumping in, and if I do come across something that that I is a problem, we'll talk, but I haven't.
Okay. And then, as far as your IRA,
Sure.
how has it been performing? I know sometimes people don't always look at their statements, right?
So okay, yeah, so that's funny you mentioned that. That's another area where you kind of helped me out this last week with that, and I could probably use some more help. I need to keep a closer eye on that, but I think they've been performing in probably maybe the 8-9%
Yeah.
range.
In an IRA, that's actually pretty decent because the loan product is a little different.
Yeah,
And we did non-recourse loans with those.
Yeah, a
So
little
this
bit
go ahead,
more
Ron.
money down, stuff like that, right? So I mean, it's not your leverage isn't working quite as well as it would be outside, but inside of your IRA, because
right.
because it's tax advantaged, it's actually working harder than you would think it would be working. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So the cool part, I guess I forgot that one's in your IRA. So I reached out to John. I haven't told you this. I don't know, Ron, but I reached out to John this week and I said, hey, I have a client who just sold a property in the same development where you own one in your IRA. Now I remember. And the sales price was, at 195 and you bought for, I think it was 174. And I
Yeah,
said, so let me run the analysis for you. And I sent him all the numbers and I said, here's your cash flow according to the numbers that I have, right? Without doing a lot of digging into what he's paying for insurance, but according to our pro forma. And I said, here's your return on equity. And I said, I think it's time to sell. So
yeah,
I think we
yeah,
can make the money work better for you if we move it into another property and take some equity out of this property. So it ended up working out really great. I mean, that property, we didn't expect them to turn that fast. I mean, you bought it, I think it's been 2016, maybe early 2017 that you bought
yeah,
that one. So
yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it works faster than than we anticipate. So
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for helping me with that.
yeah, no problem. I mean, that's easy when we have properties that we've sold all in one development. Then I'll reach out to all the owners in that development, right? And say, hey, you may want to consider selling. So with yours being a townhome unit in there, I reached out to you just barely, and we're gonna get it on the site probably today. So by the
I
Good.
mean,
time this airs, it'll probably be gone.
it's fun. It's fun when the market gives you a gift like that. That's tremendous. And the cool thing is that, I think we've had several shows about the difference between, the stock market and real estate, but this is a classic example of that, because you just said while you were waiting for the larger payoff, you've been getting 8 to 9%. So
Mhm.
in the stock market, generally speaking, you wait for the sale, right? You wait for the growth, and then you can sell the stock and try to reinvest. But you didn't get this cool 8 to 9% every single year while you were waiting for the growth like you did.
Right. I mean, and again, I think there's no better investment really. You're not going to get that with a stock. I can't insure a stock. I don't get a check every month, with that. So
Hmm.
no, it's great.
That's a really good point that I
know.
don't have on my. I mean, I have this list of things that are completely different. And it never occurred to me that you can insure your
Yeah,
investment. I mean,
me
of
too.
course we know that, right? But I didn't put that in my list. I'm going to add that to my list. So John Kwant dropping massive bombs of knowledge on the audience today that Ron, whose show it is, has never told you guys. Yet another reason to own real estate, because you can't insure the stupid CEO that can, say something wrong and then the stock tanks, right? You can't
Yep.
do that.
The thing that really hit me, and it was not long ago, it's when Trump came down with Corona and the
Mm,
stock market dropped. And I have zero control over any of that. But with real estate, you've got control.
yeah.
I can leverage, I can force appreciation. I get a check every month. There's appreciation just in the market itself. There's so many cool things about it.
Yeah, that's so true. I think the education, you said, lack of knowledge. I think one cool thing I actually really love about real estate is constantly learning. Ron and I just had a call this morning with an attorney, and I told Ron, I said, I feel like a novice, but I said, it's also really fun to learn
Yeah.
something new. That's actually something I love about real estate. It's always changing, and there's always a million different ways to skin a cat, right? So,
Yeah. Speaking of that, I just kind of restructured everything. I put everything into an LLC and then into a land trust, and I did it in Texas.
mm,
And that was an interesting process, and I learned quite a bit there.
yeah,
And isn't it cool, all the protections that provides you?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Which
so many people, John, we've talked about this several times on the show. As a matter of fact, I think like 1 or 2 episodes ago, I did this, we did this big show about the difference in the mindset of different people, right? People who
Mhm.
are constantly scraping by, and people who somehow seem to learn these things. Like, I mean, if you think about the entire population, how many people know what you just said?
Yeah.
It's a very small percentage of people who understand the strategy that you just sort of like, yeah, I mean, I just did this thing, and it gives me all these protections, and most people have no clue that it even exists.
I didn't, and it just came through studying, and I knew I had to do something. Being a sole proprietor is probably the worst thing you can do. So I've got the inside protection, the outside protection, and in Texas where you get charging order
Mm.
protection,
Right.
which is
Which also people probably don't know. People probably don't know what that is
just
either, right?
another level. I found this is just the reality of our world, but litigation is a business.
Yep.
And there are a lot of attorneys out there who need to get paid. And don't make yourself the low-hanging fruit, the easy target.
Yep.
They're not they'll go after whatever they're gonna go after, but it just decreases the likelihood of you having a problem.
Yeah, you
Mm.
Because
certainly don't want to make it easy for them.
Yeah.
if you're a hard target, it's more likely they're just gonna pass that up. So
Yeah, that's so true. And as far as the structure and everything, did you move all of your investments into the land trust?
I didn't do the IRA.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
because
shouldn't need it.
Yeah, you don't need to. Yeah.
they told me I didn't need to. And I did it in a series LLC, and I know there's some controversy with that. But from
I love them.
what
Yeah.
I understand is, they have been around for quite a while, and it's just a simpler way to do things. But maybe I'll find out that's wrong. I don't know. I think it's the right thing.
Yeah,
Very
I
cool.
love them. I think they're really cool. The only thing about them now, I think at this point, is that they're just not offered in very many states, right? There's people don't know
Right.
about them because most states don't have them.
Right.
But I do think they're pretty cool. The structure of them is very unique, and to this point, they really haven't ever been challenged to the degree that it has come up wanting. Right? They
Yeah.
have the same
No.
protections as any other LLC. They're just unique in the structure where they allow you those series.
Yeah.
It certainly makes accounting way easier and
A lot
your
easier.
life easier. Yeah.
Yeah. So, John, I think one thing I'd love to chat about too is
Yeah.
with your real estate portfolio. I know it's not the only thing that contributed to this, but when we first started working together, you were working a crazy amount of hours, and a lot has changed in your work
Yeah.
schedule and things since
I
we met.
I did. So in 2019, I owned several practices and I sold them, which was good timing. And it was needed. It was just a lot of stress.
Yeah.
That wasn't my love in life.
Yeah.
And so some of that money I took and I've invested in more properties, which
Yeah.
I wish that I'd known about this like 15 years ago. That's a regret that I have, is that I didn't start earlier, because where I would be today. But I heard something that I've always believed in, and it's this, that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time is today.
Yeah.
And so you don't
Absolutely.
look back too much. Just keep moving forward. Do your best with the knowledge that you have. And so that's where I am. And I try to reach out to my colleagues who are where I was 15 years ago, and just this is something you really should look at, because it'll change your world.
Yeah.
And John, that's so wise, because I try to do the same thing in the real estate industry. You would think in the real estate industry that you wouldn't have to tell people that.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. I mean, when I started in investing in real estate, well, quote investing, right? I was rehabbing houses and
Uh-huh.
turning profits. You would think that any of us would know that you should take some of your money and invest it into long-term assets that cash flow. I mean, you would just think that's common knowledge.
Yeah.
But it's no different than in the dental world. They don't know that. They don't.
No.
And I have the same struggle, right? I tell people, like, look, take some of your profits from these properties and put them into long-term assets that produce income for you and give you tax advantages, because you're getting killed in taxes, and sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other ear. It's just bizarre.
And I've been shocked, actually, at when I'm talking with people, how little they actually have. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm odd in that I've been thinking about retirement since I was 15. Like, what do I do? And that was, I think, from my dad and just the culture I grew up in. But I speak with guys that, like, they haven't even thought about it. They don't have anything but bills right now, and debt. And that's kind of a terrifying position for, as I think about it, man, that scares me to death. And here's a way that, you could accelerate that and get out of that hole if you want to. And not many of them want to. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's just overwhelming. I think
they're so focused on,
Yeah.
The here and now. And I want a big house. I want a boat. I want the fancy cars, and we'll figure that out later. But it gets harder and harder as time goes on. You just don't have time on your side.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's really, having talked to so many, especially I've worked with a lot of dentists, that a lot of them will come and say, I've always wanted to do this, or I've been planning on doing this for years. It just gets kicked down the curb, what is that? You just kick it down the curb. Is that what it is?
I think
doubt
so.
it sounded wrong. So, but you just delay it until it's the right time or whatever.
Right.
And I don't think there ever really is. It's sacrificing a little bit. So
no, and I'll just kind of share some of my goals. My 5-year plan is, I would love to get to the point where I've got the real estate professional status.
Mm.
And right now I've kind of got a mix. This is what I'm thinking. And maybe you could talk with me later if this is wrong, but I've paid off some of those properties that I've got outside of the IRA. And so they're just cash flowing. And I was thinking of, maybe a 50-50 mix right now, just cash flowing and leveraged. And the money that I make with those isn't touched. It just goes back into more.
Yeah, I think it's so specific to the individual with financing like that, because
100%.
yeah, where you're looking retirement in the face, right? And
Yeah.
you have that ability, to stop working, then I think there's some level of comfort in having less leverage, So
And I was just talking to a coaching student of mine this morning about this very thing. She was like, "Well, should I really, leverage my money and whatever?" And I said, "Well, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish."
Yeah.
The good news is you don't have to. And you don't either, John. I mean, she doesn't have to, and neither do you. And so it becomes more of a game that you get to write the rules. Where if you're 60 and you're like the people you were just talking about, and we're trying to clean up a balance sheet and grow wealth, well, you don't have a whole lot of choice, right?
No.
I mean, that individual needs to kick it in the pants.
Yeah.
Where you've been wise, because you started at 15 thinking it through, right? You get to literally write the rules to the game that you're playing. And there's something to be said for paid off real estate, because it completely eliminates the stress of owning property.
It's
And
not,
I mean, it's, you ask 5 different people, you're gonna get 5 different answers about what the way that you should be doing things is. But we talk extensively on this show about your vision.
Mhm.
Your vision has nothing to do with what other people think you should be doing.
Yeah.
It is completely up to
Yeah.
you. And because you've been so prudent, you get to live your vision now. I mean, you could literally live your vision now. And one of the other cool things about what you've got going on is you sold your practice, but you're still producing. And so you can do whatever you want because you've got a lot of money coming in still. And that money can go to whatever you want it to go to. And you have these assets that you get to play with and use the market gifts that Heather was talking about and all this stuff. It's really fun to take all these pieces and create the chessboard that you want.
It is cool. There is a lot less stress, when there's enough passive cash coming in to cover the bills. And it's a good feeling, but it's also, there's that side that, the addiction part of it where, man, I got to go get more of these. And I'm going to keep doing my long-term goal is, with the tax advantages that come from being the real estate professional, that's a must.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense not to. And I'll get to that point, but I want to keep this going and eventually involve my kids in it. I've got 2 little boys. They're 4 and 6. So here the cycle repeats, I'm telling them about retirement way early in life, but I'd like this to sort of become the family business, and have something that I can pass on to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's so much joy to be found in that. When we recorded a podcast about a client who passed away, and I met with his sons, and he had told me for years, I just want my family to be involved in this. I want to gift property to my grandchildren. Like, he would talk about that on almost every conversation. And he said they're really resistant. They have no interest. So when I met with them, they were like, yeah, we're probably just going to liquidate everything. And I was like, really? Because can I show you what it's doing? So I did. I said, here's your cash that's coming in from these properties every month. And they've decided to keep all of them, which is it was really gratifying for me, where I worked with, their dad for so many years. And I knew that was his wish. I remember just doing a little, happy dance over here that, his vision worked despite, them not being interested. I think there's a great legacy in that, which is so cool, to change your kids' future, which is awesome.
I'm hoping to. Yeah, that's my plan.
We just 2 shows ago, we just talked about this with a contrast between the 2. Because it very rarely skips a generation. It very rarely is it that someone who is raised leaves the way they were raised. It does happen, right? I mean, people find education and they're able to level themselves out of poverty. But the mindset of wealthy people, it is taught, whether on purpose or not, it is taught to their kids. because they're living it. And it's the same thing with poverty. And it's truly unfortunate that there's not more emphasis placed on financial education in our education system, because those kids, as soon as they got the information from Heather, they were like, oh, well, yeah, why wouldn't we keep these? No kidding.
Yeah.
But they just didn't know. So your hope for your kids likely will produce the result you want, just because they got you as a dad, and they're living a unique and different life because of your hard work and your dedication to, be able to live the life that you want.
And I'm hoping that I can, I don't know, have a positive influence in others as well. That's why I try
Amen.
to tell them about these things.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's so true, because they look at it as John's trying to sell me something when you're just so excited about. I can tell, having talked to you and sat in the chair in your office and you talking to your dental assistants and they should all do it. And I'm like, man, you're so excited that I think people think you're, something's in it for you. Right. Which is so interesting.
Right. No, I don't care about that. I just,
I know.
if it can change, if it can change your life, and I can help these younger, they're kids still.
Yeah.
I can get them on a different path. It'll change their whole life, their whole world, and their kids, and so on, and society.
Yeah. I have one more question on my list over here. So property management. So you've purchased all of your properties, besides the ones that are in your dental practice, I believe, remotely, right?
I have. I don't own a single property in the state of Utah other than my personal residence, and the commercial stuff I had with business, which is gone now. And that was also another scary thing, and when I told people about it, they're like, you are an idiot. You've never even, you don't even know where it is. You haven't seen it. And so that first one, really, that was part of the fear, but it's been so easy. The property management companies that you connect me with that go along with these things, they take care of it. I get a monthly statement from them, and if there are any expenses, everything is detailed. If we lose a tenant, they'll let me know, hey, they've put their notice in, they're going to be moving out here, we're going to get it up, and they rent it. And I think the longest I've been without a tenant has maybe been a couple of months in any property. I can't say that I've had any that there has been a whole lot of turnover, but they make it really easy. They'll email me or call me if there's a maintenance issue above a certain amount that I've told them, if you need to fix something above this dollar amount, please let me know. And that's great. Below that, they just take care of it. That's fine.
Yeah. I love that you've mentioned several issues in that. You said vacancy, you said maintenance, right? And
yes.
When we said, is anything going, wrong with your properties, or how are things going? You're like, everything's great, right? But those things still happen. Like the vacancy and maintenance are still there. And I think the mindset with you is so great that you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, I am definitely buy and hold. That's my strategy. And I don't understand. I'm sure there's money to be made doing it. The fix and flip stuff, I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely buy and hold.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I've seen that in you. I've seen that you're pretty level-headed. And I think that's something that I do tell my clients, like, if you're stressed about every dollar, you're going to hate this. You
need to have faith and let it go.
Yep.
And, and you also have to give yourself a certain amount of time, because things are going to average out. You can't, expect to have, 50% returns overnight. It's definitely over a certain period of time, but no concerns really. They take good care of me. You guys take great care of me. Thank you.
All the truth bombs.
John, this has been great. It's been so fun to, we could have just got on here and chatted it up, and reminisced about, I think one of the coolest things, and I know Heather will agree, but one of the coolest things that we get to do is become friends with people who've had longevity with us. And we count you as a friend. Grateful that you were willing to come on and talk to all of our audience and let them know, look, you can do this.
If you ever have anybody if they ever want to talk to me, give them my cell. I'm easygoing. If they want to just chat, I'll tell them my story. No, nothing, hold nothing back. I'll gladly do it.
I've taken you up on that before, John.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We appreciate you, man, so much. And listen, all you out there who are listening, one of the reasons we wanted to do this is, obviously we've had some people ask about what the experience is with our company, and that's great. But more than that, if you've been trying to figure out whether or not you should do this, whether it's through us or somebody else, it's irrelevant. The relevant piece here is that, here you have somebody who is not financially incentivized to tell you anything other than that this works. And literally, I've watched John tell the world, and he's now, and we just basically giving him a platform to do it outside of the dentist office and other places where he is. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing and spending some time with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
If you guys are out there and you're listening, every single week we say, get out there and make something happen. If you've been sitting on the sidelines and you've been trying to figure out, whether or not you should do this, or if this is good and legit and all that other good stuff, well, you just heard it. It is, and you should. And so
Start now.
Until we meet next week, get out there and make something happen.
Thanks, guys.
This has been the Get Real Podcast. To subscribe and for more information, including a list of all episodes, go to getrealestatesuccess.com.